Niners! You got to know, each and every day when I get ready to do this, I can't wait to do that. Fam, I know, right? We need something to focus on for a moment besides what I'm not going to mention at this moment. Not now, because I got Koolwhipp here. He's going to do a mock draft. And as you know, Kool has been accurate at least a couple of picks, as I remember, just about every year. So I said, Kool, come on in, man, and give us some insights as to what we can expect. Kool, come on in, fam. How you doing?
All right, Ronbo, how you been?
Great. You know, for a season like we've been having so far, I guess I'm okay. You know, I just as soon we hurry up and get into the, let's say, OTAs. Kool, I figure by OTAs, things will be clear as to what we're going to do, the direction we're going to take. But Kool, that's neither here nor there right now. Who are we going to add to this roster coming out of this class of 2022?
Well, it's going to have to be, it definitely has to be some wide receiving help. Definitely.
He still had to allude to it. And I agree. I've been crying about this for years. I've been wanting some quality speed receivers, and we finally got 2 receivers. But Kool, please, let me have it. Let us have it. By the way, let me mention, if you have any questions for Kool, hashtag Q and then your question, and then I can relay to him right away. All right. Go ahead, Kool.
Yeah, I mean, the only way we're going to probably get somebody who's going to make an impact right away, somebody who's got that speed. I think we also need someone who's got some height that can, jump for the ball, go for the ball.
Yeah,
and
50-50s.
Right. I mean, so my scenario is, we can stay at 61, but if somebody's willing to have a trade with us, my trade scenario was to trade with the Giants. Pick, I want to say it was pick 36. So trade pick 36 for 61 and a second round pick for next year in 2020. And I'm going Christian Watson. But for one, he's got the speed, he's got the height, he's got familiarity with Trey Lance, and I just see him as a can't miss prospect, because unless I can get down into the 10 or 12 range, then Jameson Williams, obviously you could get him because I think he's a can't miss prospect too. But he won't be back probably till November or December because of his injury. So,
hey, Kool, James, he's dealing with what kind of injury? It's not an ACL, is it?
Yeah, yes, it is. It's an ACL, and so
that's going to be a long time.
Well, the best part about it, he's young enough to recover fast enough, get back on the field probably November. So if I were going to trade up, and trade up, that guy who I would ideally would want to get, because he would instantly make this offense clear cut, unstoppable because of the. So, that's one thing you have to look at, So, but I think, Christian Watson will be there anywhere from 34 to 40. So I think the perfect is 36. I think is probably a safe place where we can get Christian Watson.
I bet you're right too. 34 to 40. Since so many are saying that he's probably not a first round pick. 34 to 40 probably would too. I don't know. I say probably.
Well, the thing about it is that because he didn't play in a big time program, even though they FCS champions for the last couple of years, they've been at the top in their division. So you gotta look at it like this: he didn't go to Bama, he didn't go to Georgia. But he went to a school, a smaller school, but there's no going around it. The speed is there, the talent is there, and I think with Shanahan as the coach, he's going to get even better because he's going to have the right coaching to get him where he needs to be.
Yeah. Yeah, and in fact, we've seen receivers come in and except with the exception of Dante Pettis, was just blessed with all kind of talent, but just didn't have the desire to propel himself to a higher level. I really still feel bad about that, but he's the only head case we've had like that had that kind of talent. So Watson, he'd probably be delighted to come back and work with his old quarterback.
Right, and I think that this offense has been needing a guy who's got speed like that, a 4.35, 4.36 speed to be able to stretch the field. And then now you have a quarterback that can actually throw it down the field. I mean, to say this, I mean, Jimmy, he's a good game manager. He was able to do the things he did, but he was very reluctant to even throw it down the field. And that's one of those things that held us back last year. And they totally abused Deebo's body by doing all these little 5-10 yard routes or handing the ball off to him. And so now stretch the field. And now you got to have all different type of weapons and way to use the whole entire field. And so this is the opportunity now to stretch the field and be more dynamic. That's the word, dynamic.
All right, looking forward to that. Let's see what happens with that. All right, give us that next round.
All right,
that
so
next
the next
pick, I'm
round
sorry.
I got. Okay, so next pick at 93, we got a bruiser. I got Sean Ryan, tackle from UCLA. Now, he's a very good run blocker, and this is what this offense needs because we know how the Shanahans love to run the ball, and when you run the ball, then you take up time possession. You're able to wear down the defense, and so you guys that can move the pile, and keep it going forward. 5 yards at a pop. So Sean Ryan, I think, is the perfect fit, to come in. And I don't know if actually he would be a tackle on this level, but he did play tackle at UCLA. I think they can probably move him inside, and I would even move him to right guard, I would move him into right guard because we know how that's a big hole right now. We need on the other side of the line to be able to make it where it's counterproductive. I mean, you can't always run to Trent Williams' side, so you got to have the capabilities to run to either side. And I think this is the opportunity where you get a guy who can bulldoze some of those nose tackles or defensive tackles and move the pile. And I think he's a pretty decent pass protector as well. So, I mean, I think for the value you're getting at 93, this is a good guy for the value of what you get for
93. You think he will last until 93, though, huh?
Well, I think the only team that might get an opportunity to maybe pick him before we will would probably be the Raiders. And the Raiders need some offensive line help as well. So I think they pick it like 80 or something. So, it's really hard to tell, but there's the tackles, the first 50 ranked players, there's a lot of offensive tackles like right off the bat. So it's the tackle class. And I mean, and guys that are tweeners between guard and tackle. So, if it falls into our lap, you got to take it.
That's an interesting thing about the supply this year. Offensive linemen and wide receivers. Wide receivers in abundance as well. So that's underlining everything we need. Cornerback situation, defensive backs is another story. But let me not jump to ahead here. Go ahead, elaborate a little further if you like.
Well, I mean, there's as far as a couple of other tackles, you got the kid from Arizona State, Kellen Dish. I think it's Kellen Dish. He's a pretty decent tackle as well. But inside that range of 93 and 105, there's some pretty decent guard / tackle tackles that are available. So I think right now is the time you want to be able to get these guys at the value that they are at, because like you said, the wide receiver class is deep. Cornerback is fairly deep, and then safety, you do have a couple players that, from 93 to about 160 that are very decent safeties. So I think it's an opportunity. You gotta solidify that offensive line, man, because Trey Lance, he's got to go into this knowing that it's his team. He has to run his team, and he's got to have the guys that are going to be able to block for him and make him get the job done for his team. And so you gotta solidify the offensive line. You got to.
Mm-hmm. And that goes without saying. Every team in the league, you cannot have your quarterback under siege on every snap. It's going to ruin everything you're trying to do. Mike McGlinchey, though, do you think is he gonna be able to come back? I don't know. It's hard to say right now. I know. I don't know about him, because the reports are that kind of injury is really that devastating kind of injury that you don't really expect a player to come back and resemble what he was before that injury. But word around camp seems like Mike's recovering and he's a little ahead of where he should be.
Well, that is good news, and you know what? And he's in that final year of the rookie deal. They picked up that option.
Yep.
So you never know how this year is going to play out. One thing that Mike McGlinchey does well is he's a good run blocker.
Oh, one of the league's
Now,
best.
I'm not gonna elaborate on the pass protection, but this is why a pick like Sean Ryan, and then we got more also, that we do have some pretty good guys that can fit in if they have to fit in at right tackle, and definitely have somebody who can play, the swing tackle, or Sean Ryan can play. Maybe they put him in as a guard, but yeah, you always want to hope that a guy comes back from injury and comes back just as good as he did before he was injured. So
like Nick Bosa. If we could just get a Nick Bosa return from Mike McGlinchey, who would not be happy? Nick Bosa's ridiculous. He looks better than he did before he got hurt. God.
Right. Workouts. You've seen the workouts. And
Oh,
when
yeah.
you go,
Those guys know how to work out.
That guy, and I was looking at, to get off topic, I was watching Javon Kinlaw and how he was working out. And I really do hope that he can bounce back, because these last 2 years were not exactly what you want a number one pick.
His leg was hurting, though, But here's the thing, fam. Javon Kinlaw, Nick is his idol. If he continues to want to be like Nick, Nick's gonna look at him and say, "Well, you're gonna have to put a little more effort into your workout than that." I think Javon will listen up. You think I'm lagging? All right, let me tell me what to do. I can see him now. He seems to be all into Nick's moves. Loves him, so that might be good.
Well, it's always good to have somebody that you battle with, and you're playing every day and battling with, and I think that's why they really loaded up on edge rushers. So that's why I was reluctant to draft the edge rusher, even though there's a couple of guys that I really do like. They're just get rid of a couple of guys just to be able to bring in a bona fide edge rusher that be able to solidify the flip side of where Bosa is. So, although the track record always says that they're going to have defensive linemen, and they're going to bring in
I know
2 or 3 defensive linemen.
It's going to be interior or outside. Yep. I know, right? I don't know.
Exactly.
So we'll find out. All right, fam. Continue.
Okay, so for pick 105, this was fairly easy, because we know how Mac is getting up in age, and it's 14 years in the NFL, and we don't know exactly, is he going to retire? I mean, this seems it's a Joe Staley thing, where he said he's probably going to come back, but maybe he's not coming back, and they told him just play it off, coming back, and so but I just think that you have to draft for Mac's replacement now. You cannot wait. You got to get somebody bona fide and that can come in and just come right in right away. Whether he's playing center or a guard. The guy I'm looking at is Donovan West. He was a center at Arizona State, and Arizona State had a vicious running game with Rashad White. So
Okay.
I think this guy right here. I think that I mean, even though he might not start from day one, if Mac is here, you can put him at either guard spot because he's played guard too. So
All right.
um,
All right.
you
Good.
gotta, and you don't have the Shanahans do it. The Shanahans make sure that you are able to play multiple positions
Mhm.
because Brunskill, he played pretty much every position on the offensive line. Now
Yeah.
this is the opportunity to get a guy like Donovan West who is really a center, but he can play guard, and he's the same thing. He's going to do very well in the running game. He's very mobile, and when you got somebody who's very mobile and that can move around, our zone blocking scheme has to work. So I, I really look at this as a solid pick because you have you got a couple different positions that this guy can play and offensive line, you know how things go, man. People
Yeah.
tear ACLs, people, I mean, core muscles, everything. I mean, you
Ankles.
gotta
We high ankle
have
sprain is our favorite. Yeah. So
you gotta have depth.
yeah.
At these positions, but you gotta have really solid, bona fide guys that can come in, next
Hmm.
guy up, quality.
Yeah, not those Trent bulky guys that Trent just said. Well, you know what? You're 6'6". What do you weigh? About 330. Uh, come on, I got a job for you. Trent, can he play football though? Yeah, no, you just don't bring anybody in here that can't play. I'd rather have a smaller guy that can get the job done than to just look at a guy's measurements and decide he can play football. Come on. So yeah, skills are definitely a must, especially in Shanahan's system.
You must be talking about Daniel Falele, the
Oh man,
tackle for Minnesota.
we had
That
about
guy's
three
6'8",
guys.
3 That guy can move piles. He's not very nimble, but I mean, the guy's big. It's hard to run around a guy like that. So yeah,
Oh
he's
yeah,
only been playing football, a small
but
amount of time. I think he's only been since 2017. So
but
you
Cole,
know,
remember Trent
you get
Brown?
like
When the 49ers brought him in, what was he about 600, 700 pounds? I mean, first I saw him, I said, "Oh, Trent, what did you do?" And I was wrong. They got him on a program, they got him right, and now you got people like Von Miller saying, "This dude here is the shiznit." Okay, and I said,
yeah,
okay, I'm bad, my bad. I became a Trent Brown fan after that. So you're right, offensive lineman, you get him in, and like we had with Aaron Banks last year. Banks, they didn't let him play him. They put him on the shelf. They started getting him in shape. Apparently he couldn't move around like they wanted him to, I'm guessing. And now you've got what we're going to find out about soon. So,
you know, well, you just hope that with the right amount of coaching, these guys can get even better than they were before. So
mm,
you got to trust the process. You got to trust the process and get them in OTAs, and have them come in, and they're going to have to put them on something where there's some competition.
mm,
Be competitive, make these guys, earn a spot, and that's what they got practice squads for. Because guys can't if they can't make the 53, you got to kind of stash them. Like perfect example, School was on the
oh,
practice squad for what 2 years before he
yeah,
finally able to
forgot all
come in
about
and
him.
yeah, and he's still here. So I think if they do draft a couple offensive linemen, there's going to be some competition, and the best guys are going to be here, and there's going to be guys back on the practice squad. So it's going to be competitive. I really see them bringing in some offensive line depth, and we'll see what happens from there.
Hmm. All right. And they got to get it at least one or two. So, yeah, I love that pick. All right. Oh, hey, Tony, it's funny though. You mentioned that the Joe Staley caper, right? Joe pretends like, yeah, I'm considering coming back, and all of a sudden Joe decides to announce, and it was already preconceived. It was a whole plan, right? Joe admits, nah, but you know what? I'm giving away to a guy that I can feel comfortable about leaving, Trent Williams. And we look at Trent Williams, whoa, okay, Joe, thanks for your years. We'll be fine, So that was, but I don't know. Alex Mack leaves. I don't know what we can expect. So we'll find out.
Well, I think it's either a smoke screen going on, but I think you have to be prepared for that right now. You got to go out. You got to get a guy right now, and just groom him. I don't know how well Brendel is going to do if he's put in that situation. So you got to get a guy that's has done it at a high level, that's come out of college. I think that's a top 100 ranked player, and just put him in, and see what they can do. I think I'm very confident that Donovan West is going to help our running game, and I'm not even worried about that at all. I think this is a great pickup in 105.
All right. We're going to find out. All right. That's that next pick.
Okay, so in the 4th round, now I got the tight end from Texas A&M. I got Jalen Wiedemeyer. Now, if you've watched any tape on this guy, he is a total physical specimen that can just, he looks like a Kittle when he gets the ball. Like, he'll just try to run people over. But I think what kind of hurt him and made his draft status kind of fall down a little bit, because he was probably going to be probably a 2nd or 3rd round pick. And because he did so bad at the combine, and I think 5'1" at the combine for a tight end, you got to run at least probably a 4.7 to be, in the
at the pro level. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was just a bad combine for him. But you look at tape. The tape does not lie. The tape will tell you this guy has talent, and everything that I've watched on Wiedemeyer. The guy, once he gets out open space, it's hard to drag this guy. It's hard to drag him down. The guy's 6'5", 255. So he's a big guy. He's a big guy.
One of those guys. Yeah.
He's got almost an 80-inch wingspan. So he's going to be able to go up.
Condor.
Especially red zone. The red zone, I think this is where Trey Lance can really benefit, with a guy who's got a wingspan like that in the red zone. I just think that he's a big guy. He's a very opposing guy for a linebacker or even a slot corner to try to pick up. So I feel really good about this guy, and I know that the 49ers have inquired about, I think they had a meeting with him. So I know they're deeply interested in a guy like this, because he would be a good opposite of what George Kittle is. These guys pretty much do the same thing. Now, he's not as good as a blocker as George Kittle, but
very few are.
Wiedemeyer,
that's okay.
Wiedemeyer is better than Dwelly. So right off the bat, you got to really consider a guy like this. Just on the pass catching alone, this guy is going to be dangerous. So I think that this will be a really good fit for the Shanahan offense. Really good fit.
All right. But, Kyle is going to want you to block, so he's going to have to come in and at least demonstrate it. I think because Charlie Warner came in, and Charlie was pretty much a blocking ball player at the time he came in, so I thought he fit right in. But Kyle still made him wait. I think Kyle just runs you through that on purpose. Warner was probably doing a good job, because there was a few times last year when he made some excellent plays, even catching the ball. But they just didn't want to use him that much because Kyle has his he's got a pecking order. I could see now that we've had him for a while as to who gets to go do what and when. So he's got to come in and earn his lumps. So we'll see.
No, most definitely. I think that I think that's one of the things they were looking at. I mean, if I was able to draft a tight end and get one within the first 100, I would probably be looking at Isaiah Likely from Coastal Carolina. I think he's a really good pass catching tight end. I mean, there's some really good tight ends in this draft, but I think that for value and because of not having the greatest combine, I think that this will be a steal if you could get him at this at this pick right here. So I definitely would.
Cool. Okay, I thought I lost your sound there. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead, continue.
Okay. So in the fifth round, I'm going for Marquise Bell. He's a 6'2" safety from Florida A&M. I know it probably took a while. Everybody wants to get a safety, and there's a lot of different types of safeties. Um, I I wanted to get Marquise Bell um, because I think this is good value at round 5 because he's the perfect box safety. He's like the perfect guy to come in and replace Pop Tart. I mean Jaquaski Tart.
Yeah.
So guy that can play up at the line and play really good against the run. Because we already know Jimmy Ward is here. Jimmy Ward's going to be the high safety. He's going to be able to defend a lot of passes down the field. So as far as a box safety, this guy and he's still good in pass coverage. There's nothing wrong with the pass coverage, but this guy loves to hit. He loves to hit, and he likes playing around the line of scrimmage. So he's almost like having another linebacker right up front, which can defend against the run. So he's a really solid pick. Um, I mean, a lot of guys are looking at Petre and you're looking at you know Daxton Hill, and I mean, but you will have to get in between the 50 and the 70 um, pick range to get guys like that, like the kid from Michigan. I mean, those guys, they're rated a lot higher. But I think this for what you're getting in the 5th round, this is a good value. Another guy from the 5th round, this 5th round material, um, O'Neal is also. This guy is very comparable to O'Neal, but for some reason, I thought that this guy would probably come in and be a better fit for our defense because I know how, I know how our defense coordinator thinks, and he likes to be aggressive, and he likes to outthink the offense. So you get a guy who's very physical and that likes to play up towards the line of scrimmage, and you need to defend the run. I think this is a perfect fit for the 49er defense. D'Amico Ryans he will not be upset about this pick, I'm sure.
All right. In fact, because I don't think they're going to sign Koski. If they were going to, they would have signed him by now, right? Unless they're going to wait until I don't know how much longer you can wait. I think he's out. So yeah.
Or maybe they have a shake hand deal after the draft with what's going on. I mean, there's a lot of things that are holding back maybe some of these signings, and it has a lot to do with Garoppolo. I think once Garoppolo finds a place to go, then we're going to probably see some movement with some guys that are more than, just camp bodies. We're going to actually probably get a couple decent guys, and we might be able to retain a couple guys that we thought were going to be leaving. I don't know. I mean, Jimmy Ward has played with Jaquaski Tart his whole life. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it would be hard for those guys to be broken up and not playing together for the first time in probably 15 years. So I still think there's an outside chance, but you got to also remember Jimmy Ward's in his last year of his contract unless they extend him. So they do really need to get some more safety help, whether it's going to be a box safety or, a high safety. I mean, we're going to still need that position. And I
Oh,
would not be
absolutely.
surprised.
And you
I
got to
would
go
not
in
be
advance on that. Yeah.
They,
You
they,
can't wait till you run out either. So that's why, you need to be looking now. I do have a question. Eric, C7 case that wants to know, do you think there's any receivers that could be a sleep pick for Shanahan, especially since this staff never really picks players we think they should pick? Eric, you asked for what was his bench press. Are you alluding toward Christian Watson? I'm gonna assume that's what he means. So, Q, you want to wait, or you want to jump on that question right now?
well, if you're talking about towards the end of the draft, in the later rounds or undrafted free agents, um, a guy at the very end, there's a couple guys that are late round picks. I put one of them on, which I'll get to
Okay,
down the
so you know
road.
what? Yeah, just continue. I'll bring that question back up. That's the one I see right now. Hey, see, Eric. Also, when you say what was his bench press, who exactly are you talking about? That's the only thing I'm confused about because I'm not watching the whole thread. All right, go ahead, fam.
Okay, so round six, 180. I want to say it's 187. I got a guy who is gonna like control the whole uh, middle of the whole middle of the defensive line, and we're talking about Noah Ellis from Idaho. Now, anybody who's been watching football for a long period of time, they know his dad was Luther Ellis, All Pro defensive player for the Detroit Lions. So
It's in the
he's there.
genes.
It's in the genes. I mean, this guy's 6'4", 346.
Oof.
He can plug all the gaps and
Ooh. Yeah.
46,
Damn.
but this guy is nimble for 346. So, and he can get into the backfield. So he's got, I mean, just last year he had 46 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss. So 6.5 tackles for loss for a guy who's 346 pounds. And actually he was he was almost 370 last.
I was going to say, I bet they're lying about his weight. I bet he's heavier than that. Because they always do. And if he's nimble, you probably heard the offensive lineman and everybody else out there screaming, too, at point of contact.
Like, this is a bona fide run stopper. I mean, he's going to seal the whole interior of the defensive line. So our our run defense it should be even better next year, because if we can get guys like this, and there's a couple guys that I forward to you about some undrafted guys. There's a
Yeah, I saw that list.
guy there's a guy who I really like that it might not get drafted, would be the perfect guy to come in also to help supply the interior of the defensive line.
It's funny, though. The 49ers have been very good at picking out UDFAs for the skill positions. Cool. Is there a lineman they've picked up out of the UDFA group that came in we could use? Because running backs and wide receivers and that thing we seem to just find those guys. They come in. You look at Matty B and Raheem Mostert. Well, Raheem Mostert was originally a UDFA. We didn't pick. Well, we kind of picked him up as a UDFA. He never did increase that status. But it's amazing how usually it should be the other way around. The skill players are the guys you want in the top 3 or 4 rounds, maybe 5. But no, UDFA. That's going to be interesting.
Well, let me just elaborate on that, because ever since the Shanahan, this era started with Shanahan, they actually since 2017 they have not been solid from round one to round
to 7.
Or they have not really hit. I mean, Deebo, Bosa, yes. Even Fred Warner, he was a 3rd round pick, but most of their bona fide players that have made an impact on this team have been rounds 5 to undrafted. You got Kittle, you got Aziz Shair, you got DJ Jones was. I mean, they got so many guys that were late round draft picks or undrafted free agents. Givens. I mean, the list just keeps on going. I mean, even when they had Matt Breida, that guy nobody even heard about that kid, and he came in and he's running like miles and just like sprinting down the field. So you gotta. I have to say that Adam Peters is the guy behind, um, what's happening here, because he's got some pretty good scouts that after the late rounds, they pretty much hit on a lot of guys, in the 200s all the way to undrafted. So you got to give them props. I mean, they're doing their, in the later rounds. It
Yeah,
reminds me.
which is why I was delighted when Adam Peters signed with the 49ers. And John Elway sent him on over because him and Lynch are good buddies. You send over your right-hand man. I always loved the Broncos assembly of talents. And Peters was one of the masterminds behind it. And Elway says, you know what? Why don't you, I think John's got a job for you. Why don't you just go ahead and join him? Really? Adam Peters could actually take John's job if Jed really wanted a GM, So
Right, right. I mean, and before that, we're not talking about Trent Baalke, but the guy who really made an impact on this 49er team was Scott McCloughan. He's the one that
whoa,
he
yes.
You got LeVar Bowman. You had guys like P. Willie and Frank Gore and Vernon Davis. I mean, Delaney Walker. This guy was now you're talking about
good.
A true guy who knows how to judge talent. Scott McCloughan is one of the best. Look what he did after he left the 49ers.
With Washington. Yeah.
Seahawks, and he just killed it.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson and
That's
guys
right.
like
He was with the Hawks when that happened.
oh man, he drafted. I mean,
all that
Chancellor,
defense.
Oh man, yeah, a lot of those guys that are on that defense, man, Chancellor, and oh man, he did. I mean, I'm telling you, that's where the 49ers kind of sunk down, and they kind of had a tough time after McCloughan left because Baalke is terrible. So it's good.
Oh, Baalke worked for. I think he was one of McCloughan's scouts, right? McCloughan just loved his booze too much. That was his problem. The guy's got mad talent though.
Right, and right now he's just a consultant for a lot of different teams. He hasn't, he's at home. He's watching tape, and he's doing things that he's consulting, and I guess he's got a handful of teams that he consults for, scouting wise. So I don't know if the 49ers are one of those teams, but he does do some consulting and does talent evaluation for. So. He's still around, but he doesn't have a GM job.
All right, let's continue.
All right, so we're going into the 6th round, and I got a couple. We got 3 6th-round picks, and the one I'm starting off, a lot of people haven't heard of. Of course, a lot of these players. I look for talent, whether it's small school or whatever. But I got a running back, Sincere McCormick. Now. He plays at the University of Texas, San Antonio, which is they're going to have about 3 players this year that are draftable. Of course, they got Tyreek Woolen, who I think is an outstanding corner. I wish we could get him. But anyway, Sincere McCormick is a running back. He's a workhorse, man. I mean, guy, for his career, 3,929 yards. 5.4 yards a carry, 34 touchdowns in the career. He's a smaller back. He's 5'9", but he's 205. So he's built pretty solid.
One of those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
low center of gravity, hard to bring down. Yeah, I know about those guys.
Low center of gravity. And the guy, they worked him to death. So to be able to come in here and be able to work under Shanahan and be able to, because we all know that we need at least 4 running backs on this roster.
That's not enough. You need to start the season with 5 and have 1 on the practice squad And at the end of the season, cool, every year we're down to 2 running backs. The rest of them are just out. Yeah.
Right, because we don't have a workhorse. We don't have a guy who's built like. I'll give you an example. Saquon Barkley. I think we don't have a guy like that where take a every down pounding. We got guys that
Saquon can't take it either, fam. I mean, look at
Well,
him. He hasn't been right in the league. I mean, what you need, and even they finally brought Mark Henry down. I mean, down finally. I mean, I'm trying to. Wow, it took years to bring him down though. But you got to have a big Henry. Otherwise, man, running backs they just go down.
Well, you know why is hurt, right? Because he's playing on that New Jersey turf. That New Jersey turf is the one that's killing him. I guarantee you put a guy like Saquon in the backfield with the 49ers. We're on grass. I think you would not see. I think you'll see a bigger production in a guy like that if he was playing, on our team. But we don't have an every down back like that. But we don't really need. We need to get them in a lot of different angles, a lot of different ways. So we do need a plethora of running backs. So I mean, this guy he can carry the ball like every down, but we're not looking for that. We need a guy. We need to save these guys so that they'll be fresh.
Because Kyle's going to still run his offense. He's going to shift his running backs anyway. All right, we're gonna move a little faster. Give me your next pick too, Kool.
Okay, so another 6th-round pick we got is Jalen Naylor, Michigan State. Wasn't very productive last year because he only played in 6 games. So I mean, he had 37 receptions for just under 700 yards, but in 6 games, that's not bad. I mean, that is production. So his nickname is Speedy. So that would just tell you right there, guy that knows how to fly. So, we do need a guy with speed. So this is one of the guys where, I think that's a good value in the 6th round because a lot of guys from 6 going on, I mean, they're running in the 4.6, 4.7 range. For wide receivers, not. So you got to try to get the speed where you can get it. And I mean, he's got the production. So it's not like we're getting a guy who hasn't produced, at the collegiate level. He has produced. He just was hurt half the season. So for half a season, 37 receiving receptions, that's not bad. So I'll deal with that all day. I mean, I think that's a good round if he's still available.
All right. Give me that 3rd pick.
Okay, so we're looking at our final pick, Josh Thompson. He's a cornerback out of Texas. And anybody who watches Texas football, they all know about Josh Thompson. This guy, and when I see him play, and he does run a 4.40, so he does have speed. But when I see him play, I think of a guy who hits. I think of a guy like Chet Brooks, who's from Texas, who played safety for us. I see him lay the wood, man. I mean, he loves to tackle. 109 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss. I mean, the guy. I mean, he's just all over the field. But I think he just got to. I mean, I don't know if his ranking is where it should be. I think when I watch him play, I think he's easily a 4th or 5th round grade, but a lot of like PFF has got him, in the 200s. And I think that he's a better player than that. I think I don't know if he's disrespected, but I think if he's there, you got to take him. I mean, we need corners anyway. Why are we going to bring guys, off the street like Kirkpatrick and John.
I can't understand. Kirkpatrick, did I see and hear his name back in camp?
I don't know. I did not see that. But,
somebody just joined us that Greg Kirkpatrick. God, that was embarrassing. I don't think he's back.
No, they're talking about Darquez Denard. He's actually he played for Cincinnati
Denard's back
too. Yeah. So he's definitely that.
Yeah.
So
Well.
yeah, you had kind of worried for a minute,
Oh no, I
yeah.
remember Dre. Dre could get beat easily. Denard got
Oh
just stepped on. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So I mean, so as far as picks go, I mean, you know, that's I mean, if you're going by what our picks are from, we have Mr. Irrelevant, of course. So I don't I personally think, as this draft materializes, I don't even see that. I think there's going to be a lot of maneuvering. I think there's going to be a lot of drafting, switching picks. I'm pretty sure across the board that this is going to be totally changed by the time Thursday night comes, because I can
Mm.
see there's a couple scenarios that would help us. And I don't want to be negative about this Deebo thing because that's not. But he deserves the money. Pay him the money. Pay him the money. But he's saying he doesn't want to be here. So I mean, you don't want to alienate all these other players that play here. I mean, so it's almost like you kind of have to trade him because you don't want to cause a big stir up within the locker room as well. So it's kind of hard. It's a really hard thing to manage and a hard thing to comprehend because I thought everything was good coming out the NFC Championship game. I thought
Shocking.
you know yeah. I mean after that everything eases up for a couple months and then bam. This is like I think that Debo should have had his agent take care of this instead of putting this all on social media. To be honest with you,
You know what? I
I
think
think that
everybody agrees with that. There's no point airing that laundry out in public. That could have been discussed behind closed doors, and like you say, probably a little better with the agent, because now I don't know what to think. I don't know what the truth is. I don't know if Debo's just posturing for something that he wants in particular, but he's working seemingly separate from his agent, and that's always not a good thing. It's just like I mentioned the example. You got a guy sitting in a courtroom. He's the defendant, or he's being prosecuted. You don't want to be talking too much. Leave your lawyer to use the legalese to see if he can maneuver you out of it. See, because we may be getting a total misconception as to what's really going on. Deebo did say one time, writers are going to write what they write. Nobody really knows what's going on other than myself. He mentioned his agent's name and the 49ers. All right? Now, right there, I says, well, Jesus, Deebo, what is the truth then? And why don't you just let us find out the truth later then instead of us constantly getting these little dimes being dropped here and here, So I still don't know what
well,
to think.
he should have did what his colleagues did. The guy that has the same wide receivers have the same agent, DK Metcalf and Hollywood. I mean, these guys have the same agent. He should have just did what they did and just kept quiet and let his agent handle the whole scenario. I mean, you're paying your agent. I mean, he works for you, so make him do his job. You know, um, you don't have to come all out because now you got guys burning jerseys and all kind of stuff. All this is really uncalled for. Because since you don't know the real facts, I mean, we as 49er fans, we don't know the true facts entirely, so we just can speculate, and then what that does is some people go off the deep end, and to me,
I
burning
mean,
you're
the
burning
jerseys are being burnt already.
right, you're
Come
burning,
on, man. What are you doing?
and if you're doing that, you're not when racist comments towards Debo. That's inhumane. That's something. You're not a humanitarian for one, and you're definitely not a 49er fan. I know. So
Yeah.
when it all comes said and done, it comes down. The 49er jersey is the 49er jersey. The people are going to always change, but the team is always going to be the 49ers. You know, so as well.
Fam, that question I mentioned, because we're going to go here, do you think there's any other receivers that could be flying under the radar, is what Eric is talking about, especially since this staff never really picks players that we think they're going to pick. I did not see Brandon Ayuk coming. That was a complete shock to me. I didn't know what Brandon Ayuk was to begin with. So, because when I do pay attention to college football, it's usually SEC and the Southern Conferences and maybe Ohio State or something like that. But yeah, I seen, who is this Brandon Ayuk? I said, yeah,
But
because,
Herm. Herm is an old
yeah,
college
Herm Edwards, yeah.
and he got a very tight
Relationship
relationship with
yeah.
and the Shanahans. So don't be surprised if you see some more Arizona State players make it to the 49ers, like Donovan West. They got an awesome running back with Rashad White. I mean, I would not be surprised if that happens either because of the ties there. When you have familiarity with a coach and what the coach has to say about his players, and then you watch the tape, I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked.
And he's probably going to trust Herm now. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw that Ayuk was up and coming, but of course he wasn't on everybody's draft board because everybody was looking at Jefferson and guys like that and that.
The red carpet boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
Eric says, what was the tight end bench press? Also, my first question was referring to the Watson pick because we all love Watson, but we've loved receivers before, and Shanahan looks another way. But yeah, that pretty much addresses that question, though. But Eric, hopefully, yeah, because I actually, when we picked up Javon Kinlaw, I was all over the pick because Bama had like 29,000 receivers, all of them were good. And I says, oh man, Javon Kinlaw? Okay, who's Javon Kinlaw? Is he any good? Because I still wanted Henry Ruggs out of, and I said, man, if we get Henry Ruggs, I got that speed merchant that could bust that secondary up, because that's what the problem with has been, defensive backs aren't afraid of the speed we had. They feel like they can run with Deebo, they can run with Ayuk, but when we had Marquise Goodwin, defensive backs were clearing out, and was the secondary, or the safety, because that corner's going to need some help. This is what I've been crying about for the last 2 years after we actually had Emmanuel Sanders. Sanders was a good job, but he wasn't actually a deep threat. He was just quick, and he was good at running route. But that pure speed downfield threat, we just lacked that. And I just know Shanahan's system works better if you got that. So, yeah. So I like Watson. He's getting a lot of bad rap from a lot of people. But, hey, you know how they do, though, fam? What a lot of people do, they put that information out there. Christian Watson, you can probably pick him up early in the third. Those are people who want Christian Watson. That's a strategy used every year by just about every team in the league that wants people.
Right, but there's always going to be some good late round receiving wide receivers, undrafted guys. There's a couple guys. Dajeen Dixon from Nicholls State, I think, would be, if he's undrafted, which I think he's probably going to go maybe 7th round. I think he would be an excellent addition, as wide receiver. I got a guy from Hawaii, Calvin Turner, who played cornerback the first 2 years and quarterback his 3rd year. And then he transferred from Jacksonville State to Hawaii, and then he played wide receiver, and he punt returns. I think he's like a little gadget guy, just kind of like De'Aaron King. De'Aaron King is the same thing. You got these guys where if they become undrafted, guys like this that are just pure athletes and great athletes. You gotta look at the guys like that because they can do multiple type things. They can come in and do punt returns, kick returns. When we're talking about guys like this, it never hurts to have a guy. Because for example, De'Aaron King, is he really going to be a quarterback, or is people going to bring him in and make him play wide receiver? I guarantee.
Like they almost did Lamar Jackson. Look, I'm a quarterback, okay? See, those guys always got to establish themselves one way or the other. But he's got all those kind of skills. He's probably right. Be a quarterback because you've also got a lot of athleticism. So see if you can push that narrative. And quarterbacks get paid more money than wide receivers.
Oh, well, yeah.
So, yeah.
So, I mean, so as far as undrafted players, I mean, it's always good to bring in a handful of guys that, and I'm looking at a couple of guys. I mean, for what we haven't talked about a backup quarterback yet, or at least for the last year or two. I don't think Sudfeld is the long, but I'm looking at. I mean, if Khalid Ellaby would be available and was undrafted, that's a guy I would definitely pounce on and bring him in. I know for sure a guy like Akil Glass from Alabama A&M would be he's going to go undrafted, so he'd be a guy that you can probably bring in. He's done the numbers in college. I mean, 3,500 yards, 62% completion, 36 touchdowns against 7 this last year. So, I mean,
depends on the competition, right?
Right.
They bring one in every year, though, at least one or two.
Right. So, I mean, it's almost like you got to bring in a guy almost every year, unless you get a guy who's bona fide where you feel good about. They can keep around for 2 or 3 or 4 years. But they haven't found that guy yet. We thought Nick Mullins could be that guy, but
I know, right?
But now for the Raider, he's going to be back up to Derek Carr for the Raiders.
That's going to be interesting. Go Nick. I'm still pulling for him. Fam, we're gonna close it up here. Let's repost your stick because people are asking. They came in late. Hey, I'm sorry. I thought he said that was it. Is that it, fam, or did you have another pick?
No, that's it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, because he those were all 6 rounds, and there was a couple of 6 rounds. Production lost pace with you. All right. Let's well, I'm gonna review it anyway. Let's see what we got here. All right.
Okay.
So second round, Christian Watson, North Dakota, and a 3rd round pick, one of 2 3rd-round picks, Sean Ryan, UCLA. The other 3rd-round pick, 105, is center Donovan West, Arizona State, one of the Herm Edwards products. 4th-round pick, tight end Jalen Wiedemeyer, Texas A&M. You know how serious Texas is about football. He's got to be a good player. Maybe I know he's probably from California playing in Texas. I didn't even think about that, but no, he's probably Texas. 5th-round pick, 172, Marquise Bell as a safety from Florida A&M, and 6th-round pick at 187, defensive lineman Noah Ellis, Idaho. Another 6th-round pick. We got 3. This is number 2. 6th-round pick at 220, wide receiver Jalen Naylor, Michigan State. And these are, it's good. These are high level schools. Actually, all of them. Yeah, Michigan State. 6th-round pick, also running back Sincere. You gotta love the name, Sincere McCormick, UTSA. Go ahead. What'd you say, Kool?
Throw a Smoke Monday at you.
Hey, 7th-round pick. Oh, wait, cornerback. You did mention cornerback Josh Thompson, right? Yeah, you did. Texas. Yeah. All right, cool. Now, Kool. Let's just say Kool has got a reputation. He comes in every year. He's made picks sometimes that I says, well, it seems like a long shot. And all of a sudden, the 49ers are calling his number. I said, what? Hey! Kool picked that guy. Sure enough, after the draft, Kool said, I told you about that pick. Yeah, I said, yeah, you did. Good job. Hey, Kool, who are a couple of those famous picks that you saw that went over most people's radar?
Ayuk. That was like the...
You did pick Brandon, huh?
Yeah, I did. Talanoa.
Talanoa?
Nope.
Talanoa was one of everybody's faves, though. I just didn't know if the 49ers were going to be able to get him or not, because I says, man, from this guy's resume, there's no way he's going to last past. When I picked him in the 5th round, that was just, that was extreme luck. So, but he had been hurt, from what I understand, right?
Right. I mean, yeah, he has been hurt, but
and that's the only reason why I fell to the 5th round.
Right, because I had him actually slotted to go in the 4th round.
Yeah, and Max. So, but anyway, well, fam, outstanding. I love it. And as I say, I'm gonna watch your picks because those are the picks that scouts find that 49er fans, all of us aren't aware of, right? Unless you really focus on college ball really closely. And some of the UDFAs that you got, we should have had those ready to post, but we didn't get those. But we're gonna find out. You can stay claim it. I'll keep what you put up. So if I post it up, Kool said we're gonna get this guy, and he'd be at our camp. So because I love backing you up on that stuff. Hey, Milf Hunter says Ayuk is WR1. He's the next Holt, Harrison, Bruce. You agree with that, Kool?
Well, I think, it's really weird because the beginning of last year, I think that there was not very good conversations between Ayuk and Shanahan. They were butting heads. And so I think that by the time the middle of the season, I think a light bulb went off. A light bulb. Ayuk finally, I don't know if it was Ayuk that actually felt the light bulb going off, but things changed, and you can definitely tell that Ayuk was really just making sure that everything was run correctly. He was doing a little extra stuff. I mean, we all know that our wide receivers have to block, but you can see how things changed. His demeanor changed. Yeah. And so when he changed, that's when the catches start to come. And after the catches, you see how well he did in the last 5 or 6 games where he was, a lot of times you see him, he was open. He was open, and he was running downfield. I'm like, why couldn't he have done that in the first 6, 7 games? But I think that maybe they put too much on the running game as well because our whole philosophy is the running game and making sure we control time of possession. So I think that a lot of balls weren't going in the air, and then I also think they probably weren't feeling very comfortable with Jimmy throwing over 15 yards as well. So. I think
cool, but it also had a lot to do with Deebo. He at that point was WR1, and that's why he got as much yardage as he did last year. Most of the shots were going at him, and that him and Jimmy, they just had that chemistry. That's Shanahan. That's all Shanahan wanted. He just wanted to get that ball out quick and get it to Deebo. And Ayuk was more, I think there was sometimes he was running Ayuk as a decoy because he was open on a lot of Deebo's catches. Probably the biggest percentage of Deebo's catches, Ayuk was open. But, in practice, I imagine they probably says, Deebo's the guy. And then I think that may have also entered into why Ayuk says, you know what, why am I here? Y'all ain't going to throw nobody. You're not going to throw the ball to anybody but Deebo. So, I got a problem with that. And then Shanahan probably saw an attitude developing, and that's when they probably had a falling out.
I think
Dante Pettis may have been the same way.
Well, this is what I think happened, and I don't have the evidence, but I think George Kittle had a lot to do with it. I think George Kittle sat down and talked to Ayuk about, hey, we're in this together, and I'm pretty sure it was George Kittle who came to Ayuk and kind of got his mind, his thought of mind to just totally change and kind of like, hey, I can do this, I can do that. So I've got a feeling that Kittle was probably one that probably helped.
Put whispered in his ear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Explain how things are around it. Because he was the new guy. And the year before, he was the guy. Deebo's out. George was out a lot of the time, And it was Nick was out there, 2020, right? And, of course, he was the guy. And then except for the couple of times I think he was out for COVID one time. We played against Green Bay. And, of course, that's what we didn't realize how Richie James was so until that night, right? So there, he needed to know this is what we do in San Francisco. We don't get mad, we don't get pissed off. We work harder, we get in the good graces of, and that's the way it works around there. So, one more question. Eric C7 K says, question: if the Niners were to take a cornerback higher in the draft, what round do you predict it would be in?
Well, if I could have it all, I want Sauce Gardner. But we're talking.
I know, right?
Would have to get like a pick number 8, because even if we do that trade with Deebo for Deebo and get the 10th pick,
number 10, that's too late, huh?
No, I'm not even sure Sauce will last till number 10. So, there's a pretty good corners. I like McDuffie from Washington, and I even like Kyler Gordon, cornerback from Washington too. Both those guys are going to get drafted, probably either first at the latest, maybe the second round. Both those guys will be off the board by 60, without a doubt. What you could do? I mean, who might be there at 93 if you got to pick a corner? Tyreek Woolen, he might be there, and that's the guy I really like. We're talking about a guy who's 6'4", that plays. He used to play wide receiver, but now he's playing corner, and I think that he would even be a good high safety because he's so athletic that, I mean, you could probably move him to safety. So Tyreek Woolen from University of Texas San Antonio. Here goes San Antonio again. There's talent on that team. So that's who I would. I mean, if I had to do it and it was my choice, I probably would be looking at a guy like that, because I think he's a guy who can play. He's like a Jimmy Ward, where he can play corner. I think he can play safety. And I said he's a former wide receiver, so he's being around the ball, or wherever the ball is, he's around it. So and he's also around a 4.340.
That's all I need to hear. If he can play, if he can catch the ball run that fast, I'm down. Cool.
Right.
It's interesting though. If Deebo does go, you just reminded me of something. When we lost Defoe, I didn't think we could immediately go after. I thought DJ Jones was going to maybe try to take up that slack, and they were going to the combination of things and maybe equal one Defoe. But the 49ers went and got Javon Kinlaw right away, right? If Deebo goes, and the 49ers do take that number 10 from the Jets, I'm thinking the 49ers might trade that pick to go up or down, right? So
I think they're going to.
Yeah, go ahead.
50.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they would try to get multiple picks within 50. Maybe trade down in 15, 16. I don't know.
No, because the analysts are saying this draft is not one to write home about, right? Other than a few positions. Everything else, if you're building depth, this is the draft you want to be involved in heavily. If not, you might want to go ahead and use what the highest pick you can get, I guess. So, yeah, this could be interesting to see. But listen, I want Deebo to stay right where he is, though. I don't want him leaving. Like a lot of people are just so mad. Oh, cool. And people are so pissed off. They say all these things. If you don't want to be here, get his diva ass. I said, come on, man. Would you guys wait? Can we hear some more before we decide to just make judgment on this? I mean, it's too soon. I need to hear more. And John's going to come out tomorrow and say something. What are you expecting?
Well, I really do think that they really don't have an option, to be honest with you, because it's almost like they almost have to trade him, because he's not willing to negotiate a contract with the 49ers. Does not want to be here, and rightfully said he did not want to be here. And so it's not like, I don't know. If you offer him $30 million, would that change his mind? I don't know.
Immediately. Immediately. Because you cannot say no. Everybody call you a fool if you turn that down. So I don't know.
So you have to just overwhelm him to keep him here. I don't know. I think there's going to be some kind of maneuvering, a trade of some sort. I mean, I could even see Deebo and Garoppolo going to Carolina in some kind of package.
Well, that's what Jimmy wants. Oh, one more question for you.
Yeah.
You'll love this one. Big Show says, what makes you think Christian Watson and Trey Lance would have instant chemistry when they played less than a year together. And yeah, I'm gonna leave the rest out for for the next show, big show. Hey, cool. Go ahead, because a lot of people are it's this camp is split on the amount of time they spent together and the chemistry. Go ahead. What makes you feel that it has been enough?
Well, I think Trey Lance is a student of the game, and so he practice. I mean, not trying to be fun, being Allen Iverson, and it's all about practice type of thing, but it's about practice. So I know he's been down to Atlanta and been working out with one of the quarterback coaches down there. I mean, he was working with John Beck. He's been working with the baseball player that used to pitch for the Braves. That's actually works on your mechanics to help you be a better quarterback too.
And I hope he teaches him how to slide too.
Right. So I mean, he's a student of the game. So practice is all about practice for him. So I think
he works hard. I heard. And he's the last guy out of the film room. I mean, the guy studies hard. So yeah, you're right.
You got to remember, his dad was a former player, so he knows what it's going to take to make it. I mean, his dad got cut by the 49ers, and ever since then he went up to play in the Canadian Football League and never made it to the NFL. So he knows what it's going to take to be competitive, to stay here and be good. So
that's gonna drive him. Actually, that your dad fell a little short, and now you're carrying the torch. He's gonna be driven pretty hard. We're gonna find out. Yeah,
I think he's gonna do fine. I'm not worried about. I mean, everybody's gonna have bumps in the road, but as long as you solidify the things that he needs, and you need to solidify that offensive line and get him a guy who can stretch the field. We know what kind of running attack we got. We know we got George Kittle, which can be his outlet. If we can get Wiedemeyer, then you got another guy who can, throw to in the red zone. I mean, you got to give him something. You got to give him something so he can work to his best ability. And I think that giving him some pass protection, giving him some blocking protection, that it starts right there, because everything is won in the trenches. Everybody can either win, either lose the game. It all starts in the trenches. So you got to solidify that.
And I'm hoping if there's one thing he did learn from Jimmy, get rid of that ball. Get rid of that ball quick. Make your read, 2, 1, 2, zip, 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 let it fly. Steady long in that offensive line is one of the things that Shanahan stresses. He wants less stress on the offensive line, get the ball out quick. That's another reason why he has a short passing game as well. That's misconstrued by some, but the fact of the matter is you get rid of the ball quick, less stress on the offensive line. If you got playmakers like they like to draft, which is why I think they're going to draft a playmaker too this year, if they can find one that they like. So, yeah. Anyway, cool. I'll tell you what, as I say, I can't wait to see these picks, because one or two of yours is going to be picked up. And, yeah. All right, fam. We're going to roll and let you get back to what you were doing in your day.
All right.
All right. Thanks so much, Kool.
No problem. Anytime, Ronbo. I'll be in contact with you.
All right. Hey, Kool, you want to join with the show? I mean, I don't ask everybody because it's a little insane. I'm going to count to 3 and I'm going to let it fly. 3, 2, 1. Niners! That's why I always give people the option, because I am a little strange. Cool. Great to talk to you, fam. We'll be talking later. I see you on Twitch. I've seen you on Twitter a little more lately too. So yeah, we'll talk to you shortly.
Things going pretty soon. I got things going pretty soon. So,
all right, fam.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kool. Appreciate you, fam. All right. Have a great night.
All right, you too.